I keep seeing memes about this on Twitter. I didn't know if the discourse had leaked broadly. The memes that I see, what is book talk? It's just book TikTok, you know? But my understanding is that a lot of people are getting into reading right now from TikTok, but the kind of reading that they're getting into is basically just like really terribly written smut. It's basically like fan fiction but pretentious, you know? Like it's they're trying to take like fan fiction but like sort of 50 Shades of Grey TikTok, maybe. I don't know. People who never discovered fanfic. Yeah, but fanfic is fanfic. It's not the same as like broader reading. You know, it's okay to understand there are different categories of this sort of thing. Also, it also has to be good. You know, it's good if people read good things, I think, ideally. But it's not like, I mean, I don't really know. Whatever gets literacy rates up, Vosh, stop shaming. I'm sure there are bad ways to get people into reading, you know? Maybe, possibly. What another thing that I've noticed, okay, slight tangent. Has anyone else noticed, I see this a lot from TikTok, maybe this is like a broader issue. Why are there so many adults getting into YA fiction? Like, when I was growing up, YA fiction was, oh, you're like 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever, and you're getting into reading. Like, here are some books written for your age level. But now there are people in their mid-20s who are doing it, and it just feels like, I don't know, kind of pathetic. Like there's adult, it's like it's not like books stop at that level of nostalgia readers. Maybe it's like the reading equivalent of watching cartoons like Steven Universe if you're 25 or whatever, which I did. Maybe I shouldn't judge it so harshly. I don't know. I think the difference though, at least in my mind, is that if you're watching cartoons that are meant for all ages, you can kind of meet that where it is. But if you're reading a whole ass book written at a younger reading level, wouldn't you feel kind of patronized? I don't know, man. If I went back right now and I read like the first Harry Potter book or something, even if I liked the story, I feel like I'd be really patronized by the writing because it's written for kids. And I'm not a kid. I'm 30. I feel like I'd be reading it and thinking like, you know, which YA story are they reading though? Well, my understanding is that Book Talk is full of people who are reading and writing YA fiction, but it's porn, which is an interesting union of concepts, but that's the vibe I'm getting.
Anybody on this godforsaken app read a single book that isn't just straight up porn? Does anybody
Again,
on this
these were just
godforsaken
these were just linked to me. These were just like, I'm watching it with you.
app read any book that isn't just straight up porn? It's not spice. It's not a romantic novel. It's porn. Colleen,
is he just going to keep saying this?
What are you doing here? This was the book talk station at my local Barnes & Noble. I've never read a single one of these books, but why do I have a terrifying feeling that every single one includes an extremely detailed description of certain activities? I heard like a...
Okay, hold on. I'm already bored. It's me.
I made the mistake of looking up books to read on TikTok. Every single book has spice. I don't want spice.
Okay, boring. This person's boring. No value to this person's points. Part 2? There's a part 2?
So many people got mad. I think a lot of people are misconstruing what I'm saying. Hold your horses.
I wasn't even making that much of a point. I was making an observation. I looked up books.
This is 4 minutes long. Okay, boring. Here's a response to it.
Does anybody on this godforsaken app read any book that isn't just straight up porn? It's not spice. It's not a romantic novel. It's porn.
This is just sex negativity. Fuck off. The future of social media, like as the ages roll forward, is deciding which camp you belong to. People who are hyper sex positive, but only in the context of reading like Arrested Development YA fan fiction that's hyper pornographic and terribly written, or people who think that like being horny is patriarchal or something, and that you know, like movies need to have less sex in them, even though movies have no sex in them anymore. And those are like the two sides. You're forgetting the average American reads at a 7th grade level. Yeah, but the average American also isn't reading, so you know, whatever. Them.
Video is two things, and it is two things only. It's misogyny and it's laziness.
Here we go.
This is a 21-year-old boy whining on the internet about occasionally
Why is the
write
audio
literature
quality
that's
like
largely
this?
enjoyed by women. A 21-year-old.
I'm not sure what his age has to do with anything, especially since if this was a 30-year-old man, you'd probably still disagree with him. And if he was 21 and shared your opinions, you'd probably agree with him. Your own Instagram bio also says that you're 20-something yourself.
Why do I care about it? Who emailed me?
Upon them. Things such as OF, such as slavery, such as certain music genres. The list goes on. Are you saying that as long as it's making money...
Did the lady just say, these books sell a lot, and this guy's response to it was, you know what else sold a lot? My people. You know what? I can't even fault him. If I was black, I'd be doing that shit every day. Oh man. That's good. That's a good bit.
Any critique of this thing isn't going to make sense. That's a pretty
Does
weird
anyone have any TikToks that engage with this topic in a less dumb way?
take.
Is it possibly because we as a society consistently view the things that women enjoy and create as inherently worthless and insipid and frivolous? It will always be easy to shit on things that women love and get public praise for doing so.
Okay, you're the one that made it about him being misogynistic when that's not...
Oh my god, come on. I can't go to TikTok, man. It's somehow stupider than YouTube. Jesus Christ. Did this person mean to misspell misogyny in the tags? Misogyny? Is that like its own tag? Or here's another one?
I'll just come out and say it. We need to stop book talk. We need to completely eradicate. Like, how come every time I hear a book talker advertising a book, it has at least one of three things? Borderline essay, some freakalicious, ginormous age gap.
I can't do this, guys. I can't do this. Please, God. U.S. Senate, ban TikTok. I can't do this. I can't do this, dude. We need to stop. I can't believe people get their opinions from this. Watch ContraPoints and shut up. I have seen the most recent ContraPoints video. It was very, very good. I do think, however, that invoking it as a response to any criticism of the book talk thing, the problem is that these guys are making such bad arguments that it's making me support the stupid YA Arrested Development, can't grow up sex books, right? Like, I need since I can reasonably assume everybody on TikTok is making a stupid argument, you guys need to give me tweets or TikToks that are from the people defending the book talk thing, you know? You need to give me the other side. You should do it. I should make the pro book talk thing. Have you heard of new adult fiction, books written for 18 to 25? Okay, new adult fiction, books written for 18 to 25, you are describing people who are upset that they've left school, okay? Bro, once you leave high school, you're an adult, that's it. That's it. You now belong to the same broader market demographic as 60-year-olds. You're in it now. This is the rest of your life. Quit. You all want, like, please, God, don't let me grow up. Keep giving me what I am used to. It's this nostalgia shit. It's inherently fascist. I hate nostalgia. Nostalgia is disgusting. Not all YA is written for kids. It's called YA, funny rhetorician. I mean, I don't know if, like, maybe they're mislabeling it, but if it's called YA, then I have to assume it's written for kids. And if it's not, then why is it called YA, you know? We have different stages to even being an adult too, Vosh. Oh my God. If you are 20, you don't need to be written a specific type of fiction. Man, what happened? You know, like, not my age, but like my dad's age, he was reading like The Lord of the Rings back when he was in high school. Does that even happen anymore? Do young people even try to read past their reading level? Does everyone just get fed slop that gives them like a same tag list? Like how do people challenge themselves? Is that a thing? Is Lord of the Rings not YA? No. You sound like a boomer. I don't think so. I don't know. I can see there being issues with every bit of writing being like, all of this is being catered to like a very please don't let me feel like I'm growing up attitude. I'm sorry to say this, but Lord of the Rings is considered YA. Oh, okay, wait. do we have very different like category? When I think YA, I'm talking about something that is absolutely objectively not in the same. What does YA include? Like YA doesn't just mean like you can read it when you're 16. YA is like an archetype. It's not just like the reading level. It's like the structure of the book is YA includes a lot of stuff. Here, let's just read some of the stuff that people linked. But first, let's is this guy going to make a point?
Or straight BDSM. Like at least once a week, some book from Book Talk goes crazy viral. And
during the time that Lord of the Rings was released, it was considered the same grouping of things that YA is considered today. Okay, when I say YA today, I don't think YA existed back then. Like, I'm talking about a specific kind of thing today that I don't think existed back then. Like, it's a relatively modern phenomena, I think. But I admit that I'm sort of like waffling a bit with vague definitions. But okay, whatever.
Blows up, causing the average person to be exposed to it and read it and start calling out all the crazy stuff happening in it, which causes all the Book Talk gurus to crawl out of their caverns and be like, or it's enough for us. Even the most.
How do people get information from stuff like this? This is like anti-information. Like, I would rather get information from Tim Pool than shit like this, and I'm not even kidding. Like, at least YouTube allows you to say like I don't. The Radical Dino, can you please tell Xi Jinping to call off his attack dogs and stop inflicting TikTok on the West, please? Listen, okay, you win. Chinese cultural victory. Okay, the East is red, the West is red, everything is red. You win. Can you please call it off? I'm begging you. Vosh, you have collectibles and Legos at 29, and you're telling others to grow up. Ooh, feeling defensive, a random furry. A random furry. Feeling very defensive. Ooh. Feeling threatened. Okay, we need to get to the bottom of this, by which I mean find literally any example that I can use to make an argument off of. But it's true. If you think the point that I'm making is people who are adults shouldn't enjoy all-age stuff, then you don't understand the point that I'm making. But I admit we haven't really had the ability to engage with an argument yet, so I can understand that you guys don't understand what I'm saying. I also acknowledge that anything that I say is going to be, like, aggressively misinterpreted by people in my audience who are themselves 17 or 16 or something because they think I'm calling them stupid or whatever. But it's true, this is hypocrisy, Vosh. It's not. But I'll put you on the spot, Penny J. Pie. What have I said that's hypocritical? I'll wait. This is an unsolvable dilemma, but feel free. Vosh, you are lying. You brought up the point that when my dad was 20, he was reading Lord of the Rings lol, implying 20-year-olds should read real books and not YA smut. Coming from someone who's 30 and watches anime and furry porn, what the f*** you talking about? Oh, feeling really defensive. Well, you know, you're not going to get me in a position where I'm going to defend the maturity of good anime here. But, man, you've got to be feeling that sting real bad. You really implying there's a difference between Lord of the Rings, one of the best-selling and most respected book series of all times, and random Wattpad TikTok tier YA smut? You watch anime! Well, you got me on that one, buddy. Look, if you guys are, like, I said people are going to get so upset that they're not even going to listen, but I haven't said anything yet. Like, holy shit. You know what else sold really well, Bosch? What? What else sold really well? Serious person, you better be black. Because if you're not, you can't say it. Mein Kampf? Oh, that wasn't what I was going. That wasn't the reference to the earlier part of this segment. Vosh, I will note that the main driver of anime these days is light novels. Light novels are literally the same category as YA just in Japan. And what are light novels? Dog shit! And pedophilia. So, you know. Vosh's chatter implying Attack on Titan, for example, is not mature at all. Not the example I would have gone to.
There's book talk drama, so obviously I'm here.
Why you keep buying books you don't read?
There's been a flurry of discourse regarding book talk and its legitimacy
the TikTok is what's playing.
And it comes down to an advertising issue. People are confused by book talk because it consistently hypes up incredibly poorly written novels, and it's because people are confusing good for entertaining. Books like this are not well-written literary masterpieces. They're not supposed to be. It's a sexual fantasy wrapped in the vaguest outline of plot to justify publishing, and that's okay. If you're writing a literary analytical essay on the schadenfreude present in Ice Planet Barbarians, you've missed the point of the novel. These books are reality show garbage, and that's why they're so fun and why I support people reading them. There are actual books on Book Talk that I would gut you for saying they're bad. Most of them are written by Brandon Sanderson. People are lazy and don't want to do due diligence to find an actual good book, and it's why I dismiss these critiques out of hand. People complaining, oh, it's all porn, probably don't even it anyway. The exit's over there. Just past the Fey Warrior if you hit the ice rink, you've gone too far. Keep in mind, if you hand me a novel and the way you describe it makes me think I'm going to get Brandon Sanderson and I end up getting Colleen Hoover, I'll burn your house to the ground. But if you're honest and go, Daniel, this is reality show garbage, I will go, thanks so much.
Okay, I don't know what Brander Hamberson is, but this person seems level-headed. Okay, well, I have decided that there is no way in hell that we are going to get a good point out of this. Okay, are you ready for me to make an argument? Remember how I said that music is a lower form of art than everything else? Remember that definitely real thing that I definitely said that definitely didn't get misinterpreted immediately by people who are acting in incredibly bad faith? Okay? The actual point that I made is that music is easier to engage with because you just listen to it. If you disagree with this, you're insane. You're insane if you disagree. You listen to music. That's what you do to hear the music. That's what you have to do. If you're watching a show, you have to use your eyes too. You don't need your eyes for music. I'm not arguing about this. If you email me, I'm ignoring you. I have to add that. Okay, nice. I think that books are like the most difficult media to engage with because it gives you nothing but the word. You have to put it together in your head. The words on their own are meaningless. You have to assemble them. The scenes, the context of the scene, the way people look and sound, how an event must have felt. Books require a lot of mental effort to construct what you're reading, you know? And I think that it's good that people engage their minds in that way. What about audiobooks? Same thing. I mean, audiobooks are a bit easier because you're listening, but you still have to construct what's happening in your head. Like, the only difference there is you're listening rather than, like, reading it, but fundamentally, you're still constructing it in your head, you know? You're doing the conceptualization, right? So, you have to actively listen to follow what's, yeah, you know. I prefer audiobooks because I'm good at reading. I just get distracted easily, you know? I think that when you conceptualize stuff that you read, you're doing a lot of brain work that you don't really do in other ways in your day-to-day life. I think that you're flexing your imagination in a really cool way. I'm not one of those boomers who thinks that, like, TVs are bad for your brain. I think that's horseshit or whatever, or like any media or like movies are bad for your brain. Or comics are bad for your brain. I don't think that's true at all. I do, however, think there's like a unique appeal to the book, to literature as a concept, audio or read, you know, like in a book. I think that's cool. So I think the issue in my mind, right, is that one of the virtues of books is the fact that you're doing that conceptualization work, which requires a lot of mental energy, requires creativity, requires thought. I think that reading or listening to audiobooks, whatever, if done properly, can make you a richer and smarter person. Richer like mentally, right? Like emotionally, you know? I think that it's a thing you can't necessarily get as easily from other forms of media. Reading is special. I think it's cool, you know? People don't read that much anymore, it seems, but like whatever. You know, we also, like, TV shows are more interesting and engaging than they ever have been before. It's not like watching The Wire doesn't enhance your, you know, like, if you engage with The Wire and you think about it and you engage with it and you ponder what is happening and you reflect on what is happening, you know, that's also very mentally enriching, I think. But anyway, the thing that bothers me, I think, about the patterns that I see from the outside in book talk or in the like TikTok trend or the YA trend or whatever, is that it feels like people are going for books that they know already appeal to the specific things they like. Right? They're going after books because they have like a checklist of tropes that they're interested in. Now, this is the way like Wattpad fiction and archive of our own fiction tend to be like written, you know, like you see a big like written thing and it's got a bunch of chapters and words, but all the tags are there at the top. Now, I don't think that looking at something based on its tags is inherently bad. Isn't that all media? No, none of that was normal. Tags on media? No, that's not normal at all. And that wasn't the case for books. With books, all you got was the blurb on the back of the cover, reviews online, whatever else. The problem that I have, I think, in my opinion, is that over-categorization of the stuff that you're going to read ensures you're only reading stuff that you're already comfortable with. Now, I don't think that's necessarily a problem if you're like going after music in a genre that you like or whatever else, but I do think it's an issue where you're like looking for tags that specifically identify specific plot elements and character dynamics, or like specific, like very specific settings, you know, like the very, very selective categorization, and then only reading it based on that. Like, in which case, you're not really trying to look for anything new or explore anything new. You're kind of just like, you just like a thing and you want it over and over. That's not an exclusive issue with books. No, 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 you're misunderstanding. This wasn't an issue with books. I'm not just talking about genres here. I'm talking about tropes. This is the tropification of media consumption, and this is a new thing, not an old thing. This wasn't ever done anywhere until recently. This type of engagement with media is a new thing, and I think that it's particularly detrimental when it comes to books, because it undercuts the imaginative and explorative elements that are unique to the ways that we conceptualize what we read. Right? At that, there is a reason why Archive of Our Own fiction and Wattpad fan fiction are categorically distinct to regular published books, and frankly, at a lower level. Even if you have really, 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 really well-written Wattpad or like the AO3 thing or whatever, you're still ultimately like constructing it in an environment where it is like a tropified, categorized piece of like fan work, right? But I think that a book should be defined in part by its ambiguity. You have what you have on the back of the cover. I think it's important to engage with stuff like that. I don't really know. Can you imagine people like picking up books and getting recommended books and they're only going after the tropes they like? We're not jerking off to porn here. It's not like you're looking on a site going like, you know, female big cock, male bunny ear. Like we're not talking about like you jerking off. We're talking about like a creative exercise that could potentially last you weeks of engagement. And I don't know. I feel like it's a bad way of getting into it, you know? Yeah, bottling sunshine. I think people should be willing to try new things, you know? I think that to an extent people do this with TV shows and movies, right? Like, movies don't come out that often, and they tend to be big blockbuster events. Sorry, big mainstream movies don't come out that often, and they tend to be big mainstream events. So when people watch movies, they tend to watch like what's big at the moment. They don't look at the movie's trope list and go, okay, this has enemies to lovers. This has abandonment by mother. You know, this doesn't have this. Okay, yeah, this one's good. And then they watch it. Like, that's not really. It's not really how people watch movies, and I don't think people watch TV shows that way either. People tend to be willing to, like, you know, like maybe they like a genre, or they like animation over live action, or they like, oh, this is like a magical girl thing or whatever. But again, I don't think people select for trope. I think Book Talk selects for trope, though. At least some of them do. That worries me a little bit, you know? At that point, yeah, it just feels like, I guess that's how you make slop out of it, I guess. What about catalogs of movies? I'm talking about trope lists. I'm not talking about like genre or whatever. Vosh, the two are not mutually exclusive. You can read a comfy, campy book and then a challenging new book. Yeah, but I don't think the comfy, campy book should be something that you selected via tropes. I think that you should like the author or have heard good things about the book. I think it's genuinely harmful to the way your imagination engages with a piece of media like that. If you're going like, I want a comfy, campy book. Let me select for something that's new and it's got like 6 tags that I like, but who does that? That's what I'm talking about. The problem is the time investment. If a movie is bad, then I'm only going to waste like 2 hours of my life at most if I finish it anyway. Well, I mean, if a book is bad, you can stop like reading it, right? But who has ever been reading or watching something that they enjoyed, but then they were like, this doesn't have the tropes that I like, and then they dropped it? I don't think people generally do that, you know? So I don't think we should pre-select for it, right? Like, again, this to me is the difference between like pornographic erotic literature and a regular book. If I pick up a book and I start reading it because I think it'll have a robot noir detective in it, and it turns out it doesn't, I just misunderstood the back of the cover. It doesn't have that. But the book is good anyway. I'm going to keep reading the book. I'm not going to think like 40 pages in, oh, there's no robot noir detective, and I'm done. I'm not going to do that. I'm in the book now. I'm having fun. Like the trope, I got into it on a premise, but I'm not going to like quit it because that perception was incorrect. What a weird way to read a book. However, if I'm reading like giant 9-foot tall werewolf furry erotic literature, and then I get in like 2 pages in, and it turns out that she's not actually a werewolf, she's just part of a roller derby team called the Werewolves, I will put it down. Because the thing that I was looking from that wasn't just like a holistic quality experience. I wanted the giant werewolf GF. Like that was an important part, because the way you engage with something like pornography, which is the environment where tagging and like tropes or whatever are most common, that's very, very different to the way that I would engage with like a quality piece of media broadly. Does that make sense? That makes sense to everyone, right? Like, am I off on that? Because I feel like that's an almost universal experience here, right? That the idea of like dropping a piece of media because when it's already good because it doesn't have like the trope you like that's insane to me. But if it's like porn or whatever, like sure, okay. But I think there's a blurring here between like pornographic fanfic and actual literature, and I do think that blurring is damaging because I don't want people to engage with literature in that same hyper-selective way. That's the point. That's the point. There we go. Okay. Flevier, and I get that, and I'm fine with that. That's why I don't want them pre-selecting based on the tags. That's the thing that I mind. I don't mind people reading erotic literature. I don't mind people getting into reading from erotic literature. What I mind is the idea of engaging with it like some pre-selection, like porn trope rundown, or any media like that. I think that's a terrible way to engage with media if you're trying to actually engage with it. If you're just trying to jerk off, then whatever, you know, in my opinion. Wait, Vosh, wouldn't this be an issue for every type of media like YouTube? I don't think you can really compare a YouTube video to a book in terms of the way you engage with it, the length of engagement, or anything like that. I mean, if you want to, then yeah, I will extend that argument all the way out. And I will say you probably shouldn't like only watch YouTube videos based on the tag list or whatever. It, like, for instance, if I'm watching a video and I'm really enjoying that video, but then it turns out I misunderstood the content of the video, I feel like, you know, if I'm really enjoying the video, it would be kind of weird to just close it, unless I'm looking for something really particular, like for research, or like there's a very specific subject. It'd be weird to close the video, right? You know? We select by tag on YouTube because we have no alternative. That's the way the website works, right? Like the tags, the titles, that's how it's all built. But it doesn't work like that for books, so, you know, I don't know. How do you feel about reading books based on genre and disregarding books based on genres you don't like? I think it's okay to have genre preferences, but again, if you're already a certain way into reading a book, and then it turns out it's not the genre you thought. Genres are meant to be a general guide. They're not meant to be like a hard descriptive like law that you follow. You know, like every mystery book has elements of like drama or elements of this or that. Like, you know, there's always like blurring of the lines there. Can you take a look at Colleen Hoover? Whomst? Is this the person who writes the, like, low-quality smut? Vosh, the only real problem of book talk is that graphic smut is all over YA now, which is geared towards 12 to 18-year-olds and is not being labeled appropriately. I guess I could see that being an issue, especially since it seems like a lot of the book talk smut that I see advocated for is, like, hardcore BDSM dynamics, you know? Because, again, this is a 12 to 18. It's TikTok. I don't know. It doesn't matter what the actual line for YA is. They're talking about who sees it. Yeah, if you've seen the meme image of the married step-siblings laughing about their son's big balls, that's Colleen Hoover. Yep, there are a lot of... I copy-pasted that chat message, and yep. 151.2 million views. We both laugh at our son's big... Okay, you know, not even engaging. Not engaging. I know that I'm falling prey of a subject that was discussed in the Contra video on this sort of thing, but I do think it's an issue that so much of this is written by women for women, and it all seems to be about getting by men. Or, like, extremely coerced. Again, to me, it's not like an individual shaming thing. You know, like, you're writing smut, the heart wants what it wants, I don't know. But it's, like, definitely a broader social thing, right? Like, come on. There's definitely a broader social issue there at some level. especially because a lot of these young people don't really have the like self-awareness or experience to write about it in a responsible way. Bottom psychoanalysis time. Yeah. I don't know, Vosh. I feel like every generation worries about that, but society hasn't clapped. I'm not saying society will collapse. I'm just saying that we, you know, kind of have a rape culture and people normalize assaulting and abusing and coercing women. Is that not true? I mean, this is definitely an element of it, right? The romanticization and fetishization of it can play into it. There are good and bad ways to do that, but we're talking about, like, TikTok, so these people are f***ing idiots, and a lot of them are kids. Like, the uncritical, immature, poorly thought out fetishization of a bad social trend isn't just like a harmless, you know, like nothing to think about here kind of deal. Oh, sure, Flavier, but like the issue is the irresponsibility, right? It's like how 50 Shades of Grey got a lot of flack for being, you know, abuse and rape apologia, which it was, but that doesn't mean that like every smut novel on the subject with BDSM or whatever the fuck male dom dynamics is bad. Or like Twilight had that, you know, because it was Twilight fan fiction. But like, it doesn't mean every time that's done it's bad. It's just that if it's done in an like the person who wrote 50 Shades of Grey, wasn't she a Mormon or something? No wonder she was completely lacking in self-awareness, you know? It reminds me of how in the Game of Thrones TV show, there was a scene where Jaime raped Cersei on top of the coffin of Joffrey. I was thinking, was Joffrey or Jaime the older one? Yeah. On top of Joffrey. And the directors of the scene later didn't realize that it was, like, it was unambiguously, they filmed it, but the people who directed it were like, oh, we didn't see that as rape or whatever. Which is like, again, there's nothing wrong with having a TV show that depicts, right? Like, it's an element of human life. It can be represented in media. There is something wrong with the directors not knowing that's what they were doing. But Vosh, what's wrong with engaging with slop uncritically? Like, sometimes I like to turn my brain off to Marvel movies. I'm really sorry, but there's no way for me to answer your question without being incredibly mean to you. I think that turning your brain off, the idea of turn your brain off and enjoy has been one of the most damaging, like, ideas to the production of media imaginable. Like, it's essentially like cognitive suicide, you know? You can enjoy something that is, like, easy and fun and dumb without having to turn your brain off. Has anyone seen Redline? What about Mad Max Fury Road? There are so many pieces of media that are good, but the difference is Marvel movies are bad, and Mad Max Fury Road is good. Judge Dredd, the most recent one, that's dumb fun, but you don't have to turn your brain off, right? It's just good. If you have to turn your brain off to enjoy something, it's probably not that good to, like, begin with, you know? So that's why. That's my feeling on that. Like, you know, everyone needs downtime. Yeah, but you don't need to turn your brain off to do downtime. You can't actually turn your brain off. What if you're having a depression day and you just need visuals and noise? You don't need my permission to deal with depressive symptoms. Yeah, if you're depressive and you just want to, like, consume something without thinking, then just do it. But like, you know, that's not a response to the argument that I'm making, right? Like, you don't need my permission to do that. Would you be like laying there watching something on your phone and then think, wait, Vosh thinks you should engage with everything actively and critically, and then, like, kill yourself? Like, what do you, like, come on. Obviously, yes. You should operate to, like, the acceptable limits of your cognitive ability at the time. If you don't want to, like, it's not, when I'm in bed at 2 a.m. and I've got my phone on me, I'm not thinking like, hold on, I could watch a quiet video game stream to fall asleep, but actually I need to critically engage with all media that I engage with at all points in time. Time for me to put on a movie video analysis of Synecdoche in New York, okay? It's time for me, 50-part episode, let's go. Like obviously not, you know? Wrong, WPG Squirrel. Sometimes people enjoy things the wrong way. And fade segment. Yes, fade segment on me saying people enjoy things the wrong way. Yes.